Lab Report X396 Revival Formula Dr. Thomas Alexander Hudsworth. Day 1, 3 p.m. It is the first day of our experiment. We have gathered 4 different animals which were victims of roadkill. Our formula, X396, is believed to have the power mankind has been searching for centuries: revival. Since this is being untested on living human beings, hazmat suits are required. The chemicals can be transmitted through liquid or gas form. The animal carcasses tested on today were a dead raccoon, a rabbit, a frog, and a snake. We have injected the rabbit and the snake with the formula in liquid form, and the frog and raccoon are in a chamber filled with the formula in gas form. We predict that there will be obvious differences tomorrow. Day 2, 10:45 a.m. There have been no changes to any of the animals' health yet, but there have been physical differences in the body shape of the snake. It has extended and grown to the size of a small python. This is worrying, because if we do manage to revive that snake, there could be horrible consequences. We also noticed that the frog's mouth has grown to 3 times its original size. This is just downright creepy. Day 3, 4:38 p.m. Today almost gave Augustus Schlumberger a heart attack. He was examining the snake, which had grown even larger still when the injection finally took effect. The beast of a snake leapt on him, and it took the whole lab crew to pull it off and put it in secure containment. The rabbit came back today as well. It is well and alive, but is lying motionless on the floor. The frog has expanded, and its legs have been twisted, tied, and generally disfigured. The raccoon has grown fangs that are the size of my arm. The whole experiment is making me uneasy. I hope we can just get this over with quickly so we can all go home. Day 4, 11:38 a.m. The dread that something extremely bad is going to happen is growing on me. It was always there, but today just made the thoughts swimming around in my head a lot worse. The snake, which was previously in the containment facility, has disappeared. Around the same time it was reported missing, old John Anderson was dead, hanging from the ceiling. He was still in his hazmat suit. His head was forcefully jammed through the air vents, and it didn't take a detective to figure out what happened. We don't know how the snake did it, but it is brutal. All research has been put on hold while we search for the snake. All security personnel have given us a pistol each in case we run into any trouble. I personally think we need more than 44 Magnum rounds to protect ourselves from this horror, but I'm willing to accept anything at the moment. Day 5, 8:52 p.m. As if things could not get any worse, all the other monsters have finally escaped captivity. This time it was Rachel Lee and Charles McGregor to take on the aftermath of the monsters. Their guns were found empty, and their carcasses had been furiously clawed at, and their helmeted heads had been impaled by large jagged pieces of glass. Claw marks are everywhere, and the building has been completely and utterly crushed. The research area is out of bounds to anyone due to the extensive amount of chemicals on the walls and floor. The blood of 3 victims seems to be spread among the holes in corridors. Everything is going out of hand. If we don't stop this soon, we're all going to die. These creatures just seem to kill in the most mindless and gruesome ways possible. We can never be too careful. Day 6, 2:03 a.m. This is getting too hot to handle. After a short power cut the lights, they turned back on, and it was a gruesome sight. Hazmat bodies lay in pools of blood littered with their own organs. Teeth marks, scratch marks, and marks that suggest violent blows have been dealt to certain areas. It's only me and Augustus left. We need to get out. Never mind stopping these beasts. We need to escape and warn the rest of civilization. Unfortunately, they're all piling up in the entrance hall, so we need to wait until they're gone so we can take action. Augustus is acting really nervous lately. Poor lad. I can't blame him. On edge all the time. I need to go now. I think I heard something from the bathroom. Day 7, 11:28 p.m. The worst thing possible occurred today. After I went to investigate the noise in the bathroom and found nothing, I returned to see Augustus dragging now dismembered bodies from the room. Caught by surprise, I hid behind an upturned desk as I heard the door to the entrance hall shut. I dared to look up once I was sure that he had gone. Pulling out my magnum, I dared to follow after him. Gun still drawn, I kicked open the door. Nothing. All that lay between me and the exit to this madness was 30 feet of wood and metal. I hurried across the stretch of area and reached the cold steel door handle. I turned it slowly, opening it up, and an immense snake was curled up in the middle of the dusty horizon, and standing in front of it was Augustus. He was just standing there in his hazmat suit. Even more disturbing was the fact that his face is not visible at all. It was as if the hole inside of the helmet was filled with blood. There were rips on his arms and legs. The masked head turned to me and I could hear Augustus's voice. "Surprised?" he said. I stayed silent. I thought so. Everyone else in this godforsaken laboratory has basic weakness like surprise, fear, grief and sadness. We're too dangerous for your own good, he continued. We kill other forms of life without blinking an eye. We then use the dead bodies of these life forms to experiment on for our own benefit. We're a selfish, stupid species. That's why these creatures are doing this to us. He gestured to the snake behind him. I am not going to be a victim to something like this. I am not going to be killed by something 10 times more powerful than I am. You know what they say. If you can't beat them, join them. I still cannot explain the science behind what happened next. The snake slowly turned around to face Augustus's welcoming arms. It bent down so its lower jaw was resting on the ground and opened its mouth. Augustus turned around to face me one last time. "See you in hell, Tommy boy." He then proceeded to walk forward into the open, venomous hole. The snake raised its head, closed its enormous mouth, and gradually turned around and slithered off into the distance. I stood dumbfounded at the sight as I lifted the quarantine helmet off my head. The further away the snake went, it seemed to shrink and change its anatomy completely. When it was about 60 meters away from me, I could see a distinct, unmistakable figure. The shadow of a human, wearing a vivid orange suit.